Sorry. Thank you.
No problem. Can you just give me a thumbs up if you're seeing the actual presentation slide? Okay, great. So awesome. I am very excited that all of you are here and we're able to make this. I have a lot to talk about. So, but first I'd love to spend just a few minutes welcoming you, asking that you share sort of what's a common delivery blocker, right, that you're facing today. You can put it right in chat. You can share a private message with Jeff as well. He's going to help me try to keep track of those. And that would help me make sure that I'm hitting on as many relevant topics as I can for you guys. I really want to try to make this as meaningful for you as possible. Always invite you to use chat throughout, raise your hand. I'd love extra eyes and ears. If I can't see the actual video screens of who's got their hand raised, please feel free to jump in and let me know that. And then, of course, at the end, we'll have time for a little bit of a question and answer session. So if you have questions, I'm going to ask you kind of throughout as we go through different sections, but if you have one you want to save for the end, by all means, feel free. And then, as always, I love to invite you to connect with me via social media. I am on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube at the moment under either CarmenLux's LinkedIn or at CarmenLux Coach. So feel free to follow me. All right. Let me give you a quick view into our agenda, just so you get an idea of timing. There's really three main sections I'm going to hit: manage less, grow teams, and increasing performance. With hopefully what you'll see is a fun activity in the middle. I really enjoy this activity, so I'm excited about that. So I guess first and foremost, I will ask real quick, Jeff, do we have anything? Let me see if I can pull up chat at the same time. Okay, I don't see anything in chat, so that is great. But feel free to put things out there as you think of them. I also have several that I will hit on throughout. So if it's relatable to you, definitely feel free to chime in the chat and let me know that, yep, it relates, it's hitting home. You understand and can empathize with what other teams are suffering from. All right. So if no other questions, I'm going to jump right in. Okay, so as I've already said, thanks again, for taking the time to attend. I wanted to spend a few minutes introducing myself and my background. Appreciate again the interaction today. I like it a lot better, and I think we learn a lot better when we talk to each other. So feel free to be as interactive as you would like. I was lucky enough to start my career at EDS. I went into the Systems Engineering Development Program, which was a 2-year program with them, and they just immersed me in all kinds of skills training. Really, even before I was able to start any coding, right? I had to learn several different roles within the company. And that was really, I spent the first 12 years of my career there. I was assigned to the Saturn account down in Spring Hill in its heyday in the late 90s. And to this day, really stay in touch with many of the leaders that I worked with or worked for while I was there. And I really credit EDS with making me into the leader that I have become today. I then moved and got to really start refining my executive leadership skills at MDON and Change Healthcare. As you'll see, my team sizes grew substantially while I was there, and I really managed a variety of technical skill sets, both in-house and a whole lot of third-party partners. That really, the director of contingent workforce, where I had oversight over every third-party partner we had at Change Healthcare. It was about $100 million worth of contract work. So it was really interesting, really significant, and where I really kind of sharpened my tools on outsourcing and contingent workforce and how to keep teams aligned even with that much third-party workforce. And I'd say all of that really prepared me well to step into Smile Direct. I was the first vice president they hired into technology at Smile Direct Club, and I was over the customer experience side of that house. So all of the digital touch points that it took to acquire a customer onto our aligners. And it was really at Smile Direct that I began to formalize what performance care is, and where I started to really see how valuable and the power behind my approach to things. And that is what led me to then start my own company in performance care, and really shows, when you put your people as your first priority, delivery takes care of itself. Um, it's really fascinating how that works. And, we're going to dive into that quite a bit today. So, what does performance care do for you? So, for one thing, it improves the people side of your business. Okay. And it really focuses in on organizational alignment. It provides coaching to leaders and teams. It looks to unlock team member potential. And I love to say the tagline is it increases performance through care, just through people care. So I want to walk you through our first section on how we do this, but I wanted to really do some context setting here so that as we go through the deck, you kind of have, these goals in mind and you understand a little more behind it. All right, so we're going to first talk about how you can do all of this through actually managing less. In this first section, we're going to hit on 3 topics: fractional coaching, listening more, and the power of help. So let's go ahead and move into how fractional coaching can benefit you and your teams. All right. Consistent leadership touch points are so important right now. But as I know, and finding the time is really a big problem. When you use fractional coaching, you partner and share this workload with the delivery leaders and the coach. And it allows them to take on more of this heavy lifting, like removing delivery blockers, researching creative ways to learn new skills. When you have a coach, they can come in and help you assess where is your team, where are they at, who are the individuals that you have on your team, and how can you create individual development plans for each one of them. This really helps get your team and your goals off to a great start, because everybody has their own personal and professional goals that they're marching towards, aligned to your corporate goals. Ongoing coaching enables you to monitor and track the development goals to make them more actionable. This is really, I'm big on action, not just talking about things, but actually putting things in play that team members and leaders can work with. They can pick up and go do something, and it becomes very actionable for them and attainable. And then always focusing on happiness and celebrating every step of the way, even the smallest little achievements. So we encourage team members to keep going and stay motivated. And all of this really starts by listening to your teams. So when we talk about listening more, the last 9 months, we all know, has taken a serious drain on our people. I hear and see all the time that we're really getting just what is left of people when they come into work. And that may be whether, they've got children in remote learning situations, they may be taking care of aging parents, they may have immunocompromised risks that they're concerned about. We've all witnessed the political and civil unrest, and what you're seeing is just layers and layers of stress and frustration that have truly burdened our teams before we've even asked them to do the first task. And more than ever, what they need most is just a shoulder to lean on. So an extra set of ears, it gives the employees the opportunity to share their voice in a more comfortable setting, possibly. I encourage you to re-onboard your team, right? Really learn your talent and capture your skills inventory. Maybe you need some taffy. I use this a lot because team members need a safe place where they can just come in and vent, a place where they can think out all of the jumbled thoughts in their minds, organize them into logical solutions for themselves and or for their projects. But this is my time to just be quiet. And so I really physically either put a piece of taffy or a mint in my mouth to just kind of physically remind me, I'm just here to listen, right? That let them think out loud. It is not my job right now to fix anything. And then really try to relate to your team member situations. See it through their eyes, really try to understand the challenges so that you can try and help them navigate through it much better. The power of help. So I think this is something that eludes a lot of us, and I want to encourage you to really lean into the power of help. Definition of help, real simple. Make it easier for someone to do something. That's it. An extra set of hands for sharing of knowledge. It may be just what your team needs. So I start by telling you right now, give them the answer. Okay. If you see a team member really struggling on how to do something and you clearly know how to do it, just give them the answer right now. Let's not test them any more than we have to at this point. Lead with compassion. Really be aware of the lenses that you're seeing different situations in. It's a little bit like being relatable, right? Getting and relating to your people's situation. And pull compassion to the front of everything you're doing, to your words, to your thoughts. Try to have compassion in the forefront of your mind. Confident vulnerability, show it. Lead the way, show it by example. Let your guard down so that your team will feel comfortable letting their guard down, and you will learn a lot more about them. And then create your give back. This is my favorite one, and it pays off in spades, right? It's just so important to create a give back. So look for ways to allow those that ask for help to give help to someone in the future. Giving help is so empowering, and it really makes us feel good to feel useful. So look around your team, find opportunities. If you see someone asked a peer for help or you for help, then you find an opportunity for that person to give help in the future and encourage them to do so. All right, thoughts or questions so far? And I'll check the chat, or if there's any hands raised. Let me check participants as well. Anybody have any questions? Is this sort of hitting home? Does this make sense? Okay.
Yeah, just a comment. I agree with the layers you said. I think it's we have a lot of conversations, and it takes time to realize how much is kind of below the surface. That there really is a lot we're all dealing with right now. It can be a distraction.
Yeah, and it's very cyclical, right? If you notice, it's very cyclical, and as leaders, I think we have to stay ahead of that. I know, January was rough. I mean, it was just rough. There was so much going on, and so if you think back, if you saw sort of odd behavior or just unusual, even more unusual than it is, has been for the last 9 months, there was even more pressure and stress and unrest going on. So February, hopefully you're seeing things maybe go back to what we've been calling the new normal or the new remote life. But I would just encourage you to, really pay attention to environmental influences that are seeping in to your teams, because they're there and they're a bit out of our control, but the way we react to them and the way we support around them is within our control. All right. So let's start now by looking at how can we start growing teams. All right, we're going to take a quick look at the skills wheel that I've created, on-demand coaching and how to hire for skills diversity. It's really interesting, some of the patterns that I think we get into, especially in technology. Performance care looks to put a much stronger focus on the softer skills of business. We're resetting expectations on learning business acumen, giving team members their why and empowering them to contribute more. Not just, you're great, you're a brilliant coder, you're wonderful at the hard skills, but working on conflict resolution and what healthy debate looks like, negotiation tactics for business priorities, Finance 101 and how your company generates revenue. What does that look like? Why does that matter? But all of this really starts by capturing your skills inventory in some way and knowing the talent that you have on your team. This is not meant to alarm your teams, right? We're not asking everybody to re-interview for their role. This is where fractional coaching can help, because you kind of have an excuse to bring somebody in to kind of re-onboard, to ask and reassess questions that if you've got a long-term team, you asked a long time ago, but you haven't asked recently. And a lot has changed. And then really take that inventory and match it against your role expectations. And I'm going to suggest you're probably going to need to dust those expectations off. If it's been a while since you've looked at any type of role documentation that you have, we really owe it to them to adapt our expectations to our current situation. A lot has changed. Then once we have your skills inventory matched against your role expectations, create the individual development plans for your teams and map the gaps directly into the plan, right? So now you found a skill gap with a particular individual against the role that they're in. So let's get that right in the IDP and let's get a plan, an actionable plan around how we can grow that skill. And finally, provide opportunities aligned to the strengths, but also provide opportunities to give team members a safe place to learn a new skill, to practice out that new skill. During these opportunities, we really look to provide on-demand coaching throughout to help kind of accelerate this skill growth. And we do that through peer coaching, peer demonstrations, and even the business, right? So earlier we talked about help, but now let's dig in a little deeper. So coaching is helping. And again, help is making it easier for someone to do something. Peer coaching and peer demonstrations is an incredibly powerful way to initiate your circle of give back. So when teams are configured optimally, there's a variety of skill sets there, right? So there's a lot of opportunities for us to help each other. Helping each other creates a sense of community and camaraderie. It creates a safe place. It creates, everybody talks, there's safety in numbers, right? So when you're actually doing this, you're also building a psychological safety net based on a culture of growth through help. And then I cannot stress enough, use your business partners. We tend to forget that if we reach across the aisle and we match our team members up with their appropriate business peer, then naturally relationship building occurs, cross-functional training occurs on both sides. I'm a big believer that not only do I want to bring softer skills to technologists to help round out and give us every opportunity in our career, but I want to bring more technical skills to the business side. I think they need to understand more about their tech stacks. They really need to understand and empathize with the challenges that technology faces. Because at the end of the day, we're all in this thing called a company together, right? So we all have roles. A couple of other things.
We had a question come in. Sorry for interrupting you.
No, go ahead.
The question is, are there any good tools on the market for assessing team members for their skills inventory?
From a tool standpoint, so what I've done in the past is use an assessment, so more like a questionnaire. Most of it you can gather based on your tech stack and what you already know about your teams. And then the tools and the skills that I'm talking about are really more of, and we're going to talk about here in a second, but the behind the scenes stuff. So operationally, how do they work? What does that look like now? It probably looked one way when you were in office. It probably looks completely different now. If it's the hard skills, it starts by taking your technical stack, laying it out. Who do you have that's got Java, for example, or Python or .NET Core, whatever the languages is that you're using. I have not seen an actual tool that will go out and do this, but I have techniques and methods on which I can tell you about and how you would do it through one-on-ones or through other leadership touch points that's more subtle, but eventually brings the visibility that you need into the talent that you have. Is that helping?
Yeah, I think the assessments were more, I paraphrase by putting tools in there, but the good assessments out there for, I guess, finding the strengths and areas for improvement for the team members' skills.
Yes, so we use a combination of things, whether it is from strength assessors, Strengths Finders 2.0 is one you can use. There's a lot of, it kind of depends on the culture of the company. and the personality of the company. Personality tests have worked better at times rather than focusing on strengths. They really like to get more into how do situational reacts through personality differences. So there's a number of different aspects to the overall assessments that we use. And I'm happy to, share that offline with anyone who wants a little more detail on that. Okay. Love it. Please keep asking. All right, let's look at hiring for diversity as our next slide. So you grow for retention and you hire for skills diversity, right? And looking at it, there's 4 different things that I encourage leaders to kind of look at. First, start with your overflow or your missed work items. We've all been there where the same work just seems to keep missing sprint after sprint, and you're just not sure why. And so look at it. Is it assigned to the wrong team, or do we have a skill gap and we either need to hire or grow that skill? Find the clues. Let's take a look at your last 3 retrospectives or the last lessons learned that you pulled out of a project. What is your team trying to tell you is blocking them? And it may take more conversations there. Let's start there and really dig in. Solicit for skill diversity. I want to challenge you to talk with the seniors you trust on the team and ask them just candidly, what's the work not getting done and what is the work no one wants to do? Right? Just, figure out a way to build that trust where they can tell you. And that's where then you go look at your job postings or your open positions that are out there and you realign it to make sure that you are getting in the skill set needed to pick up this work that keeps getting missed, this work that nobody wants to do. And then be open to new talent. Really resist this urge. As leaders, we tend to have blinders. I've been there, I've done it. You've got your rock star senior and you want to hire a team full of them. And we do this to ourselves without really knowing, because we're comfortable. We know how to manage that. We know how to lead that type of personality, that type of skill set. And that works really well for about the first 90 days. Then all of a sudden you have the same problems you had before. The same kind of work is getting missed, right? And so I would encourage you to resist the urge to hire another Bob, for example, and maybe you just really need to go hire a young Drew who will come in and pick up the easy, mundane work that the seniors don't really want to do. So really look at being open to that new talent and hiring for that skill diversity. And the graphics here, I put here for a couple of reasons, because we talked about skills. The reason your skills inventory is so important is if you look at it from a tech stack standpoint here, your front end, your back end, your database, and really lay it out. You should, what we look to do is create a heat map here that kind of shows you color-wise, where is the majority of your team falling and where are the gaps? And, another really great use of this is when the business comes to you and says, I want to bring in a new technology for this project. You've got data to have that conversation with them, whether you have it in-house today or you don't have anyone in-house, and you can put a plan together for how you're going to in parallel grow that skill with the existing team, but also probably have to hire a couple of experts to help bring it in and accelerate that. So giving realistic timelines, realistic expectations back to the business on, I can show you already, we don't have this in-house. And then it can also be used as a facilitator to talk about other technologies that could probably do the same tech lift that the new technology is doing, and maybe you already have that in-house. And so it gives you, again, this negotiation. Do they want, do you want to go with an older technology that we have in-house we can move quicker on? Or do you still really want to go with the newer technology? Either is fine, right? We're open to do either. Our teams love learning new tech, but we just need to be honest about it, that it's going to be a little bit heavier lift. It's going to take us a little bit longer. And so this gives you some great data to arm yourself with before you have those type of conversations. All right. Okay. So let's take a break for a second. What I'm going to do, I want to look to change your mindset here just a little bit. I'm going to play some 30-second clips of soundtracks. Okay. I want you to kind of tell me, you can come off mute or you can put them in chat, just sort of the words or the characteristics that come to mind when you hear the music. All right. And so give it a second. And maybe a little bit muffled. Jeff and I tried it out yesterday and I had a great solution, but unfortunately with no internet, I was not able to implement that. So I think this will work for you. But just kind of, you may want to close your eyes, just listen to the music and tell us what words come to mind. Okay. Yeah, I see Gaines already jumped into yeah, vigilante justice. I love it. Yeah. Yeah, intense. Busy. I like. Love it. Yep. I see this. This is, to me, this is the people's leader, right? Ready to jump into action, ready and willing to jump into action for you. Okay. All right. Let's listen to the next one. See what you think of this one. Okay. What words, what characteristics come to mind for that one? Yes, danger, agree. Dark, not good. Yes. Oh, I like that. Unattractive, gloom and doom. Yeah, right. I see that. That's the micromanager, right? The hard, the really hard leader. He's always negative, always, finding fault in everything that we do. All right, let's go to the next one. Yeah. Yes, can do. Upbeat. Yes, I love it. Positive. Yes. Yes, I call this one hero. I love it. I call this one the Swiss Army knife, right? I can't think of anything he couldn't solve. I'd go to him for anything. So I really, really do. I love that one. All right, we're going to do a few more here. All right, let's see. I want to do this next one. Yep. Yep. Love it. Ruthless. Agree. Yep. Yeah. Like, just you can hear him coming down the hall at you, right? You can just see it. He's coming to your door. He's coming to your desk here, and it's not for a good thing. You just feel it. All right. All right. Couple more. I want to do. Okay. I had the hardest time deciding between these last few because there's just so many great ones. All right. So let's do this one. Yeah. Peaceful. Yeah, I agree. Steady, right? Cerebral. I love that one. Yeah. Calm. Exactly. Yes. Right. It's who I probably would want to go to or want around me when things are like crazy. I call that one the inspiring leader. And now, take a second and see if you can bring the soundtrack of James Bond, to your brain. Can you hear that soundtrack? Really think about it, hear it in your mind. All right. I mean, and even in just trying to hear it, right? You're kind of calculating, what does that sound like? It's sneaky, it's spy oriented, right? So I liken him to sort of the calculating leader. He's always a little bit like the micromanager, and he's always trying to find fault, but he's always one-upping, right? Always going to have one better than you. Or, he's always the one that's got the piece of information everybody needs, right? He's in on everything. He knows everything that's going on in the company. Okay, one last one, and only because it's absolutely my favorite. And if any of you have not seen any of these movies, I did spend the long weekend. I had to watch these again. It'd been so long since I had seen any of them, and they did not disappoint. So I highly encourage you to go watch them all again. All right, let's do this last one. Yes, encouraging freedom. Yes, bootstrap. In the trenches, right? In the trenches with you. Yeah. I mean, and I think I would follow him, right? Wouldn't you follow him? I feel like if you know who the things and the perseverance, resilience, yes, all of those things. Okay, so you're probably wondering, what in the world are we doing? Why do this? Well, I wanted to show you this is an easy, simple exercise you can do with your teams, right? What kind of leaders do they see themselves as? What kind of characteristics do they want to show at work all the time? What type of leader do you want to be known as around your teams? And when you're coming down the hall, what are your teams thinking? Are you Darth Vader, or are you Batman? Or are you, I said, out of all of these, I think I want to be Indiana Jones, right? I want to be the guy who can fix everything. So it's very simple. It doesn't cost a bit, right? Just download you some songs. It also gives you the opportunity. What was really funny, I did an open rehearsal for you guys to practice the talk last week with a much younger crowd, and they'd never seen any of these, right? Like, it was hysterical. It was really, really funny. So I challenge you to pay attention to the age on your team, and what are some of the newer inspiring things that you can pull together. I chose music because I think music creates feeling in us. It just does. And we, when I hear these songs, I see the movie, I see the person, I see the actors, I see scenes from that movie, right? It's just so tangible for me. But get creative, have fun with your teams, have fun. This is an easy way to, like I said, just kind of shift a mindset. And keep everybody aware of what kind of leader did you bring to work today, right? Who are you? All right, let's check chat real quick. Yeah, very true. Very true. Batman, Darth Vader, Bond, Indiana Jones all worked alone and not on a team. That is very true. So, and of course, sleeping with the enemy. I mean, come on. All right. So let's now take a look at our last section here on increasing performance. So we're going to talk about maximizing strength usage, people first priority, and rebooting delivery. All right. Okay, so I want you now to take a step back. Look at your teams as if you're putting together a puzzle. Where do all the pieces really need to go? How should you configure them? How can you find complementary strength sets that cover a broader scope of work items? Categorize the type of work coming into the team and try to align it to the strengths accordingly. So that's really how you go about configuring your teams. And I've seen this a lot of different ways, whether it's creating full stack teams, whether it's creating bimodal operating models. There's a number of different ways that you can do this, but really trying to put your teams together in such a way that they fit best. And then what's blocking your teams? Help them navigate through it, or just remove it for them, right? Get in front and figure out how to do the blocking and tackling needed to help move the blocker. Who are your resistors? Your resistors are those that are just fighting you every step of the way. They've dug their heels in. I like to categorize them as red, yellow, green. My greens are on board. They're willing to try anything. They're willing to follow. They take on change. They thrive in it, and they just move right through it. My yellows are loyal, right? I have a good relationship with them. But this is a little outside of their comfort zone, and they need something. They're missing something, one or two things that is, holding them up. So if I can get them that information, then they'll jump on board and become green. And then my reds they're not moving, right? They want nothing to do with this new plan. They're not happy, and they're active about it. They are vocal about it. So this is really where I say, talk to them more, pull in your greens. Peer influence can be peer pressure, peer influence can be a good tool here, but figure out what it is that they're missing. A lot of times I would find that they think I'm holding information from them, right? They think as leaders, we know it all, and we've just chosen not to tell them something. When the reality is we're all sort of navigating through this ourselves, and there's still some unknowns, but we need to keep moving forward. We need to keep pushing through. And so really just having kind of that level set conversation with them and trying to understand what is it that they need that will help them take the next step forward, and keep working with them on that. Promote where you can. I really, really am a huge proponent of promoting from within, because it raises morale and it puts actions to your words. And I think actions speak much louder than just words. And then reward your team. So reinforce the behaviors that you want to see. Catch them doing it right? Find an opportunity to reward the team for doing something that you need them to do through growth or even through performance, so that the rest of the team sees that and they're encouraged to do it more.
Carmen, quick question for you.
Yeah.
Kind of along the lines of this, with the puzzle pieces that kind of popped this question into my mind. Most of us have probably read the Good to Great book with seats on the bus and all that kind of thing. And I wanted to ask you, in a situation where an employee comes to the manager and says, "Hey, I want to do X, Y, and Z in my role in addition to A, B, and C." But you as the manager, you're like, "Oh man, I wish you would just stay to A, B, and C, because that's what we kind of need done out of you." How does you as a manager handle that, or how would you kind of coach, advise managers how to handle that when someone's asking for something that actually is it's an interest of theirs, but actually won't move your team forward?
Absolutely. I get this question a lot with a lot of my individuals that I coach, and I tell them, I need you, right, as the individual, to put yourself in your boss's shoes. Okay. At the end of the day, we all have common business goals we're looking to achieve. Your boss particularly is looking to achieve certain business goals, of which you do a really good job delivering on. So if you tell them, if you have no solution, I work with them to actually come to the table with some solutions, right? Who is going to backfill A, B, and C? Because A, B, and C still has to get done. It's great that you have a career trajectory. It's great that you have professional goals. We want to encourage that. But part of it has to be helping us all get there, right? Part of it has to be backfilling yourself. So really asking them, look across the team. Who could you peer mentor? Who could you peer coach to backfill? Or do we need to hire that person? Do you know anyone in your network, right? There's a lot of different ways to help our own team members be accountable for their growth. It's not just our job to make it happen. Really get them brought in, and then maybe we need to add that to their individual development plan. It's not just as simple as I want to go do D, E, and F now, right? I have to first figure out how to backfill A, B, and C at the same level that I was doing it. I call that work yourself out of your job, right? You got to figure out how to work yourself out of your job. And if you can do that, then it frees you to be able to move on to your next thing. You'll have variable teams, right? Some will work to pigeonhole themselves in a job just because of job security, right? So they'll try and harbor knowledge or not share anything to make sure no one else can do their job. And then you have the opposite, which is what you described. And I work with both, right? But I would say having a candid conversation with them to explain the gap, right, that they're going to leave is really important, and ask for their help. I want to support you, but I need your support too. How can we do this together? Let's put a plan in place.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, sure. Okay. People first priority. Again, I mentioned in the beginning, when you put your people first, I have found that delivery it takes care of itself, right? It doesn't mean you do nothing. Yes, you still have a lot to do. You're removing blockers and you're an escalation point, but when you can really put your people first, so many things take care of themselves. And I say, if you want to increase performance, focus on helping your people do what they love and grow more skills. Find ways to ignite their passion again at every chance. Find ways to let team members do what they love and are good at, even if it's temporary, right? Even if you can't move them full time into that role that they really, really want, give them a taste of it. Let them know you're serious about it. It's part of the plan. It's part of where we're heading. Listen to what your team is telling you and take action on it early, right? Really listen to them. I know we think we do, but we get busy. I know, I've been there. Tapping into core memory. This is a big one. It's scientifically backed I never really thought a lot about it when I was in delivery leadership, but tapping into core memory through celebration, when you can create or evoke a strong positive feeling in a person, it becomes associated with you and the work. Okay. And it reinforces engagement. It brings back their passion for what they've done. You can say the same thing for punishment or negative, right? Things that happen at work. You want to disengage a person, evoke a really deep, dark feeling in them at work, and that's going to tap core memory, and they're going to remember that and always associate it with it. And it's hard to break that. But I really say, take advantage of finding ways to make a team member laugh. I mean, laugh hard, a hearty belly laugh. They'll remember it. When you think about, your favorite birthday or your favorite Christmas morning, you could probably tell us everything about that day. Who was there, where you were, what you got, right? It's the same at work. We have to figure out how to bring that kind of passion back into work for our people. Lead the way. Show your team the way through common goals, all right? Then configure them for the work that's been assigned to them, and then trust that they will perform, right? Then get out of their way and let them do it. And then all you become is the helper that blocks and tackles for them, removes some things at escalation point. And individual development plans. Monitor and track development plans to reinforce accountability, but to show them that you care. You care about their success. Beyond just what they're doing for you today, you care. All right. Okay, and let's now, I think we're going to move slides here in a second. There we go. All right, rebooting delivery. It starts with organizational alignment. Communicate the common goal so that you can allow the teams to get behind each other and connect to something greater than just themselves, right? Make it about we, not me. The strength of the wolf is in the pack, and the strength of the pack is in the wolf, right? The old Jungle Book saying, that's very, very true, right? It really has to become about us. Ask them to help you solve for a lot of the bigger problems that affect the team. Active engagement is key. Happy team members are more engaged. And when they're engaged, productivity goes up, quality gets better, and overall delivery is faster and it exceeds expected outcomes, right? But getting that engagement in place is what we have to focus on. And that starts by really putting our people first and listening to what they need. Celebrate even the smallest success so that you can connect with core memory. And really, performance care, give your people a place, a voice, and a future in your company. So we'll come right back, round circle here. Performance care really is a toolkit. It's a toolkit for you that reboots delivery through coaching teams on balancing performance and care. So throughout this talk, we've talked a little bit about managing less, right, through fractional coaching, so that you can grow more talent and business acumen skills across your teams. And doing that really does increase performance overall, accelerates delivery, and it's good for you, right? It gives you higher satisfaction in your job as well. All right, moving now onto the last chance now for other questions, other comments. Hopefully this is hitting home with a lot of you.
Carmen, we had a couple questions. So back to the individual development plans. So how do you monitor and track the progress of those?
Yeah. So within performance care, we actually have a 4-step process I call the change mechanism. I think I actually have a slide. Oh, yes, right here. I keep this in here just in case I get asked, what do you do? How do you do this? It's not hard. This is actually not patented by me at all. This is something from Amazon that they put out there for all to see, right? Jeff Bezos was really big on, if you measure it, it gets done, and that you need some type of process in place around things to create new habits. So step 1 is really just documenting. When you have a gap that they're working on in their performance plan, you sit down with them and you lay it out. What is the expected behavior here? And then demonstrate it for them. I've had to actually show team members how to do something, right? If you may need to do that, do it. Or if you can't do it, find someone who can. Discuss and agree on, are they ready and willing to step up to meet these new performance expectations? Document the outputs of what that work looks like. Who receives the input? Compare it to the output that's delivered. This is not a one and done, right? Provide time for questions and clarifications. It may take them several times to do it. It may take you several times to explain it. I know we all wish it was a one and done, but it's not. I say it's a lot like trying to keep your kids to stop leaving toothpaste in the sink when they brush their teeth. How many times have you told them it's not hard? Wash it down. It's just not hard, but they do it. So none of this is a one and done. We have to give them time and repetition to really work through kinks and be aware of that whole resistance factor. Are they missing some key pieces of information and they're just butting heads with you? And then really put the metrics in place. This is how we measure it, right? So define and implement the metrics. Compliance is the easiest one to put in. Did they do it or not? Right? That's super easy. And then is it fit for the business or not? Is it meeting the output that the business needs? And that's really based on the audience. And that takes us into step 4. Make sure that feedback is received from anyone in the audience who would receive this new behavior. A lot of times it could be release notes or a technical specification, right, that team members just aren't doing. So make sure that you get output feedback from all the receivers of it, and then document any requested changes or pivots that are needed with the behavior or the expectations. And then the leader goes and reviews the individual on the growth achieved and gaps, if there are any left. So that's a lengthy answer, but that's how I do it. That's how we measure and track progress on individual development plans. What else? All right. Well, we did pretty good on time. I think we are almost at the top, right? 10 minutes or no, less. Where are we at? 5, 10. Look at that. Good on time. So
one question just came in. So back to the growing skills. Can you speak to how that approach worked, like a real life application of that?
Yeah, sure. So, when I was leading teams in my past, I can just tell you that one reason why it's just super important to help teams grow and stay focused on, how the company generates revenue, or, how, what happens if we miss this particular milestone. It really shows that they understand and they're more intentional about the decisions that they're going to make throughout the sprint, right? I've seen developers resist the urge to just become intellectually consumed by a challenge that, in the past they've gone down the rabbit hole and we missed our deadlines. But when I've explained to them and gotten everybody on board of what will happen when we hit it and what will happen when we don't hit it, what are the consequences, then they become more engaged and again get behind that collective goal, and they accelerate their delivery and make much more intentional decisions about keeping their work on schedule for the release. It's super important to really show your team how their role contributes, how creating new skills for them contributes to the company, and just help them round out wherever their gaps are of what they need to know about how the business works and why their role is so important to making and hitting the business goals for the company.
Thank you. And I actually have a question too. So back to your experience at Change Healthcare managing all the third-party companies, it feels like there's a possible way to execute on this strategy with your third-party vendors as well, but it also feels like it's probably different whether they're internal or external. So I'm curious to know what that line is and really what are some of the similar approaches and what are some different approaches as you're working with the external vendors and your internal resources?
Sure. A lot of it depends on your contract, of course, but I am a big believer that your team is your team. And I liken it to if we're all in a canoe trying to go the same way, and I don't tell my middle paddlers and the ones at the back which way to row, we're not necessarily all going to row in the same way. So I like to share all open communications that I can with all third party. Now there's obviously things we cannot share with third parties, right? As companies because of a variety of reasons, but mainly it's competitive work and dual work employment type contractual situations. But when it comes to goals and objectives, I include them. When it comes to priority setting, I include them. Because again, they are a significant part of your workforce. And so getting them aligned and behind the work that you're trying to get out the door as well is as beneficial to you as it is to them. I do that first and foremost, have a really good relationship with your partners on that third party side, the delivery leader.
Looks like she froze up, or did I freeze up?
No, it's her.
Okay. She said this may happen. I'm glad it happened 5 minutes towards the end, so the timing was good. So we'll give her a couple of minutes to see if she comes back in. While we're waiting on her, I will make the announcement that we're going to be the TLN for this year is going to look a little bit different, and that we're going to do a program 1 month, and we're going to do a happy hour, virtual happy hour the next month. Our holiday happy hour was very well received, and a lot of people really enjoyed that. So Gaines and I kind of did some brainstorming, and we're going to try to do a kind of maybe a lightning talk happy hour for March. So we'll have some topics
Okay.
that we'll get over to you guys. And it looks like Carmen's back.
I'm back. Sorry.
Welcome
Yes.
back.
The guys were very nice to me though for waiting until Q&A. That was nice.
Yeah.
I'll try my video, but if I blink up again, I may not. Okay. So I'm not sure where I cut out, but I think you probably got the point, right?
Yeah.
Again, it comes down to relationships with your partners. Know the constraints that you have on you on both sides. Sometimes being able to reward your third parties looks a little different, right? So I just ask a lot of questions. What can I do? Can I give them restaurant gift certificates, movie tickets? And then that's a whole nother side of really learning what do they even want? What is a reward to them? Because it could be really different from your internal team. So I don't know if that hit on it. And again, sorry for the fall off.
No, that's okay. And that's a great answer. I appreciate it.
Sure.
I've got one.
Yeah.
Carmen, just, a common problem in a growing company is getting too much work in process at one time, resulting in a lot of bad multitasking. And I know that's kind of a partnering with the business kind of thing in a lot of cases, but any techniques or recommendations you have for that?
Yep. So you're right. WIP is always an issue, I think, for most agile teams. I used to run around saying, stop starting, start finishing. But that's not a realistic solution either in a lot of ways. It'll help sometimes. But the point is, we have to keep up with the business, right? We really have to figure out. So what I did instead was created dashboards visible to my business that showed them every sprint and every work item that was in every sprint. And we had a cutoff date, and it was based on workflow status. So and we met weekly with them, and we pulled up our dashboards, and we showed them based on where we were in the sprint. We did 2-week sprints. So we met every Tuesday morning. So the first Monday, no big deal, right? They can move anything anywhere they wanted to for the most part. But once a ticket hit dev, it had to go that sprint. It had to. And we would sort of show it, right, with the red line cut off. Everything above the line is frozen, but you can move anything below the line. And so it was kind of this give and take. And it was a little bit of training on the business side to get them to buy off on it. I also brought them, I think this is super important, I created this with them, not for them. Right. Big difference. So that meant I got buy-in along the way and kept trying to go back and show examples of, well, we seem to have problems when, of course, we all know when we have these problems, right? And so you just take it to them, you sort of slowly begin to sort of educate and share that knowledge. And again, you're building that cross-functional relationship. And it was super successful. The one caveat I would say to that is we actually got too far ahead of ourselves. At times we were planning work items, 6 sprints out, which was crazy unrealistic for Smile Direct. And so then we ended up putting even a line in the sand on how far out we could look. So that kind of opened us up to the big production issue that came out of nowhere, right? Or the new compliance issue that came out of a new compliance thing that was given to us, right? That we had to try to figure out how to fit in. So but that was really visibility to me. And again, just that whole alignment around priorities and getting their buy off solved a lot of problems for us.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right. I want to thank you guys so much again for attending. Jeff, thanks for the opportunity. It was a lot of fun. I hope that I will get to connect with several of you. As always, look me up. Feel free to connect in LinkedIn, and would love to catch up with any of you. So if I can help, please let me know.
Awesome. Thanks, Carmen. Would you like to share the presentation for me to send to the group, or is that?
I think most of the highlights are in the handout. Did everybody get the pre-reading handout that's there? So it has pretty much every section that we just went through in a quick one-pager for you. And I think that's probably more useful than the entire deck. But if somebody really desperately wants it, reach out to me, and happy to do so.
Carmen, appreciate you taking the time to join us today. It was a great presentation. So thanks for taking the time.
Of course. Have a good
Thank you
weekend.
very much.
Good to see everyone. Y'all have a good rest of the day.
You too.
You too. Thank you.
Much.